Hi, welcome back to the channel. I'm Michelle, and today I'm going to show you how I make my gluten-free, allergy-friendly gingerbread houses. So we are about to make gingerbread houses with our co-op this week, and I will link below, there is an allergy-friendly pre-made kit you can buy, but it's ridiculously expensive in my opinion. So last year I broke down, I bought the cookie cutters for it, we tried it out, and it worked awesome. So I'm going to show you this year how I do it, and in the end I'll show you how it's decorated. So this is the kit I bought. Again, I bought this off Amazon. I'll try to link it below if I can find it. But this is what it makes. All the cookie cutters are in here. But I like that it also gives you the option of making 3D cookies. So the tree, the reindeer, snowman, there's a Santa sleigh in here. And as you can see here, these are all the cookie cutters. Again, some of them are 3D. Obviously, this is the top of the snowman. This is the bottom of the snowman. You can do how many windows you want or cutouts you want. That's what these are. So, for my recipe, again, I found this last year on Pinterest. I'll link it down below. But it is a gluten-free vegan gingerbread house. So what you need for it is baking powder, sugar, gluten-free flour, almond milk or water, molasses, cinnamon, ginger, cloves, and it calls for shortening. You can use shortening. You can use, last year I used coconut oil. I don't have any coconut oil right now, so I'm just going to use some gluten-free, dairy-free butter because my youngest does have a dairy intolerance. Now, my kids actually enjoy eating the gingerbread house after they make it, so that is why I take, obviously, extra precautions with the ingredients I use and make sure everybody in the house can enjoy it. Alright, so the first thing you're going to do is you're going to combine the shortening. Again, I used the Earth Balance. They do make this in stick form, which is a lot easier to bake with, but of course my local stores don't carry the stick form, only the tub, so I kind of just pile it into a measuring cup, and this is not exact, but it works fine. So you're going to combine that, the molasses, the sugar, the milk, and the spices into the KitchenAid, and you will hear my 2-year-old on the floor playing next to me. So the first thing you're going to do is take 1/3 and 2 tablespoons of shortening. Like I said, I already did that with my butter. Next, you'll add your molasses. So it's a 1/4 cup and 2 tablespoons molasses. This is the brand I use, gluten-free. Next will be a cup of sugar and 1/2 cup of milk. And again, I just use dairy-free almond milk. And then your spices. You're going to do 3/4 teaspoon cinnamon, 3/4 teaspoon ground cloves, and 1 3/4 teaspoon ginger. And again, if you're gluten-free, make sure you're checking your spices because it is something, especially if it's a blend of different spices, it can contain gluten. So make sure you're checking those. So I'm just going to put that on low speed and mix it until it's combined. So this is what it looks like, all mixed together. So I'm going to take this out, roll it out, and start cutting out some shapes. Alright, so I thought I had parchment paper, but apparently not, so we're just going to improvise here. So I just took some cling wrap, rolled it out, taped it to my countertop. Now I know a lot of people when they are rolling dough and things like that, they'll just put it directly on their countertop. But the problem with that is I have laminate countertops, and I guarantee there's probably scratches, and within those scratches could be things like gluten. So I'm not going to roll out my gluten-free dough on a surface that could potentially contain gluten. That would ruin the entire purpose of all of this. So I always have something down, usually parchment paper, but again, don't have that, so we're gonna improvise. Taped it down, put some flour on it, again, the high amount of gluten-free flour. I'm gonna put the dough on there and roll it out. So I'm just gonna work some of that flour in there. Now the nice thing about gluten-free is it tends to be on the drier side. So that's actually gonna benefit you with your gingerbread house, because it's not gonna fall apart as easily because it's not gonna be as soft. And you don't have to worry about, again, it coming out too tough because it's a gingerbread house. So I'm gonna roll this until it's pretty pliable. Again, I'll just keep moving that flour around to make sure it doesn't stick to my cling wrap. But so far it's working pretty well. Alright, so this is all rolled out and ready to cut. I have my pieces here. Obviously this is the front and back. This is the door, window, roof, and this is the side. And again, you can make cutouts for windows and things. So I asked my kids what they wanted. Obviously they're not helping with this. This isn't something they were interested in, and it goes a lot quicker, honestly, without them. So I'm going to start cutting out the pieces. Now again, they might get a little wonky when you transfer them, but you can always shape them back up. And again, it's a gingerbread house. They'll stick with icing, so it's not overly concerning that it's perfect. Yeah, and if they fall apart like that, what I will do is I will quickly reshape it and then put the cookie cutter back on the pan so I can get a better idea of what it was like, and just squish it back in there so it fits the shape it was supposed to be. So the roof are ready, the sides are ready. This is going to go in 350 for 10 to 13 minutes. While that's cooking, I'm going to start the front of the house with the door and the window. Again, I don't have a rolling pin, I just use my hands. We got rid of our rolling pin a couple years ago when we went gluten-free, so hands work just as fine. Alright, so I have the front and back here. So now the only thing is all the extras. So the snowman, Christmas tree, reindeer. The nice thing about the dough is it's pretty sticky to the actual cookie cutters, so you don't have to worry about getting these out perfectly. It definitely holds its shape well, which is nice because when you have the interconnecting ones like this, you want to make sure it's pretty close. So this is the next set ready to go. So here they are out of the oven. I'm going to let them cool down and then I'll move them into a container. And again, if you use parchment paper, this will come off a lot easier, but it's not something I had, so work with what you got. That's what I think. So with the leftover dough, I'm letting the kids just take some cookie cutters and make whatever cookie they want with it. And they can eat those right away. They're not specifically for the gingerbread house. It's Christmas. So the gingerbread house is all baked and ready. The last of it came out of the oven. The kids made some extra cookies to just eat. So everything needs to cool, and the next thing I'll do is make the icing. But this is all the mess I have to clean up from making the gingerbread house. It's time to make the icing. I'm just going to use the royal icing recipe that comes with the gingerbread house recipe, and I think royal icing is the best icing to use, especially to keep the gingerbread house together. I've used different types like in the can, and frankly, royal icing is the best thing, and it's super easy to make. All you need is powdered sugar and either water or milk and half a cup. So I'm going to mix these up and start making some icing. So you definitely want it to be on the thicker side, because remember, this is the glue that's pretty much holding your gingerbread house together. So it's pretty thick, and again, you can always add milk or water to thin it if you want to use it for other, decorating, not just holding it as glue. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to transfer some of this into each of these jars. You could, of course, put it in a Ziploc. I'm not quite ready to ice the gingerbread houses yet. They're still cooling. We'll actually do that tomorrow. And I don't have any small Ziplocs, so we're gonna do this. We're gonna put them in small mason jars. I'm gonna use the food coloring, and I'm gonna do red, green, yellow, and the big one will be white. And then we can put them in individual bags later, or just ice from this if we want to. But that's pretty much all you have to do for the icing. So here's the icing all done. I did yellow, red, green, and this will pretty much just be to keep it together. I might, well, I know I'll probably end up making more, because this was 2 pounds of icing or powdered sugar right here. So I will probably make some more white, because we'll be decorating gingerbread houses as a group. So I'll probably make another large batch of white just for that. But this is solely for our house. And the kids wanted to decorate the cookies. These are the cookies that they made extra, so they wanted to decorate those, and I'll let them do that. And then tomorrow, when I go to the store and get Ziplocs, I will transfer those into there, and we can start actually decorating. Now, I guess one of the questions would be, why don't I just buy the prepackaged icing in the containers? Well, a lot of that icing has gluten in it. The only I found is Betty Crocker usually has some gluten-free varieties, but all icing is not gluten-free. So again, making it from scratch is just something we have to do to ensure the safety, and honestly, it's cheaper. Does it require more effort? Yes, but that's just something we have to do in our household. So my 6-year-old just decorated hers. This is the stocking. It's a red icing, green top, marshmallows, and M&Ms. And then one plain one for my husband because he doesn't like icing. And the kids prefer to leave one part of the roof off so they can decorate inside. They usually put a Santa or something inside. That is the gingerbread house.